Wittgenstein, with whom I studied in Cambridge, used to say, don't ask me to define tragedy. What you need to go and do is to read King Lear and Macbeth and half a dozen other, and the Antigone and half a dozen other tragedies in different languages, and after a while you'll see why these examples serve to mark off one particular whole class of dramas, and which we then call tragedies. Tragedy is that which is shared by, or more or less completely, all the different dramas that we call tragedies. In the same way, I mean, I think I can explain what it is that makes certain kinds of reflection more philosophical rather than more technical or practical. But this is what one has to do, not to produce a verbal definition of philosophy, but to give people examples of philosophizing, philosophical arguments, ideas, questions, problems that have been taken up by people and have become the starting point of philosophical arguments. I have one example which I think I'd offer you in particular, which in a way lets you in through a door into a whole range of questions in, for instance, the philosophy of perception. I remember when I was a child sitting up in bed and looking at the drapes over the window and noticing, which may or may not have occurred to you, that if I shut one eye or the other eye, the shade of color of the drapes appeared distinctly different. Not because my head was in different places, but because in some kind of way the physiological response that was being obtained by each of my two eyes was not exactly the same. No doubt a physiologist would in the long run be able to explain what it was about the differences, slight differences in pigmentation or something. I have no idea exactly what it would be, which would correlate with this. But one can easily sort of, with an experience of this kind, become puzzled about what it means to say that the drapes really do have one color rather than another, really have one shade or hue rather than the other, when one sees them as slightly different in color, in hue, in saturation, or whatever it may be.